my channel. I'm Tiffany, a retired librarian turned homeschool mom, and this is being filmed on the 20th of January. So just so you know where we're at, and yes, I'm actually filming at night for once, so my child's asleep. So we're going to be looking at, this book is In the Shadow of Lady Liberty, Immigrant Stories from Ellis Island by Danny, I'm assuming this says Kravitz, or Krivitz, not quite sure here. So this is kind of an interesting, enjoyable nonfiction book. Again, we're looking at Ellis Island here. So this is about, I think, middle grade or middle school, even high school, but possibly. It's a good overview, and almost, I wouldn't say just, obviously it's not massively in depth because it's a children's book, on Ellis Island and how it worked and the start and the end of it. So you first start off with the Ellis Island Voices, where it talks about the kind of the beginnings of, you have lots and lots of pictures here. I'm going to show you kind of the print size of this book. This is the entrance hall. So, and it has little facts, and it also has different, which again, I'm going to say elementary, because it does have certain works like persecution, gives a definition, and then gives like another fact thing about 98% of immigrants who came to Ellis Island passed inspections and were allowed into the country. Completely different from our last month's reviews, which was Angel Island. Yeah, that's a whole different issue. Please check out those. I may be covering more Angel Island stuff next year. Really interesting topic. That is the immigration station in San Francisco Harbor for mostly Asian, primarily Chinese immigrants. So, interesting stories there. But again, this is good. It talks about the building of Ellis Island, and the various different immigrants. This is the original buildings, and how they built the land around it. And now this is what they rebuilt after it burned down. So this is what you see today. So the big fancy, and again, it does little facts. It says various people coming to Ellis Islands, how they boarded the ships. Again, this is something I've mentioned in a couple of other videos that we'll go through. The massive myth that even I heard growing up is that names were changed on Ellis Island. This is not true. They had ship manifests, and so before people boarded the ships, if people in the port city heard the name wrong or spelled the name wrong, that's what was gone through to, that's what the people at Ellis Island went off of. They had a list of information directly from the ships as their manifest. And the other thing to remember, all the people who went through Ellis Island were steerage. So this was third class passengers. First and second were processed on the original dock, usually on the ship. And then the third class steerage passengers got off the ship, onto ferries, and went to Ellis Island. So it was a completely different process. So people who were, again, the upper class, first and second class, who could afford those on these ships, were processed on board, usually in their cabins, before they were allowed to go through. So that talks about boarding of the ship, the crossing of the Atlantic, the horrible conditions, and again, seeing Lady Liberty. So, how happy people were in going through inside Ellis Island. Of course, the health inspections, some of the pictures are great here. And then it did talk about they had the hospitals, how many children were born, and various different people who were in helping people, because again, most of them went through and they were treated. I think mostly it was a lot of people who had tuberculosis who were sent back, and it does talk about that. These are people who were separated, who weren't going to get through. Either they were ill and couldn't, and then they were sent back, or there was some sort of problem with their paperwork, so to speak. So, and then talk about the dormitories that were originally really bad and then got better. They didn't have mattresses originally, and the different food in the cafeteria hall, which is all really cool. And again, this is the bridge where people crossed and got to um, to America and met their people. So it also talks a little bit about the workers, which is great information. People who, because there were people who lived on Ellis Island, and all the aid workers, because a lot of religious groups and different things helped people. It does talk about the corruption. It doesn't shy away from that. So, and yeah, and then the wave of immigrants ends. It talks about the end of Ellis Island. It was closed down in 1954, so November of 54. And then it does give, of course, its sources and talks about a little bit about the museum here. So there again, middle elementary, up through middle school. I mean, you could use that as a high school, but it is a very interesting, very informative, very well researched book on Ellis Island, which again is a very interesting story and history. It's something I may cover again. I have history with Ellis Island. I had family that, particularly on my paternal side, my dad's side, his grandparents, both of his, I think, I'm trying to think whether it was his my grandmother's parents who came through. I think they did, or at least their parents and some of their siblings. The same with my grandfather's, my dad's father's mother. So these were Germans. My grandmother, my dad's mom was in fact a German Swede. Her father was German, her mother was Swedish, and then my grandfather on my dad's side, whose mother was German. So her family was German. So, and of course my maiden name, which I'm not going to reveal here, is very, 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 very English. That family, along with my mother's side, we have people who came in over on the Mayflower, which is not uncommon, despite how many people died. Again, interesting tale. Maybe we'll get to those one of these days. So many interesting things. But again, great book, lots of resources. I am going to be finishing up covering Ellis Island. This is actually the last book I'm recording. I have recorded everything, the other 3 books for this. These are all nonfiction this month. Angel Island was actually mostly fiction, so maybe next time I cover this topic, I'll look a little bit more on some of the fictional tales of crossing on Ellis Island. So, and my only other immigrant stuff, strangely enough, I did Titanic, I did Angel Island, now I'm doing Ellis Island. Next month I'm doing cooking. And then we're doing women inventors. So we're going to be covering some stuff for that. That is what's incoming. I'm also covering, I believe, the Boxcar Children right about now. So, and I covered The Road to Avonlea earlier. The Anne of Green Gables series. Yes, I covered the film, the TV show, The Road to Avonlea. I have one of the second season sitting in front of me after realizing I shouldn't record it tonight because I still have some more episodes to watch. But by the time you guys see this, those will be up. So you can check out all of that stuff. And I'm covering the, the Wings of Fire? Yes, the Wings of Fire series is going to be coming up once I finish the first 19 of the Boxcar Children. So you can check those out along with a variety of other stuff. So please check out the channel and leave a positive comment if you have one. Thank you.